everyone, it is Teresa from Teresa's Silhouette Spot for All Things Art, where I love sharing art from my heart. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the spring bike. Are you guys excited? I am so excited. So when you hop on, tell me you're here. I'm actually going to pull up my iPad to see about getting comments on it. So this way I can answer your comments, hopefully in real time. You know, sometimes, the painting and the talking and the reading don't all go together. So, but, hello, Rosella. But, we're going to work on that, okay? We're going to have comments and reading and painting and fun. How's that sound? Can you see me? I'm wearing camo, so I don't know if you can see me. So, if you can't see me, let me know. So we're going to get started. Oh, let me turn this off even more because I'm having a what do you call it? Time lapse. Okay. I was having an echo. Can't have that. So we are here. We had the blue bike. I am painting the blue bike tonight. I painted the yellow bike just to give you guys some choices and let you see how it comes out in a different color. But I am sticking with the blue bike. The blue bike is what we have on our tutorial. That was the colors I gave you. But if you want to paint a pink bike, a yellow bike, a green bike, it's totally up to you. So I encourage you guys to make it your own. So if you want to have a different color bike, that's all well and good. In the future, if you want to paint this again, feel free to not even paint it with the black background. Feel free to do it with a different color background. So I am starting out with, I have my 11 by 14 Bristol board. You guys know I love Bristol board. And this is what I paint on often because it's easier to store. And I just slip it into one of the portfolios, the sleeves in the portfolio. And I don't have stacks of canvases. So I have my Bristol board, my tracer that I printed out and taped together. You can see that. It doesn't look pretty. It's just, line it up, tape it together. That's it. Then I have some graphite paper that I've had forever. And I'll show you guys, made a decent sized piece. Show you guys how to transfer. Hi Laura, how are ya? So let me know if you're painting with me or you're just watching. Either way, I'm just curious because in this group, this video stays in the group and then you can come back and paint it at your leisure. Paint it another day, paint it again if you'd like. Paint it with a friend, paint a different color, whatever it is. It stays in here. It is yours to watch at your leisure. So let me turn you guys around. So what I did here was I layered my Bristol board, my graphite paper, and then my bicycle template, and I have it all lined up. Okay? So I'm not going to do the lettering, and I'm not even going to do the flowers. I'm just doing the bicycle outline for now. If you don't have graphite paper, let me show you guys this. Let me show you with a piece of, I'll use this. If you don't have graphite paper and you have a pencil, you can go on the back of your template, your tracer, and scribble with a pencil, okay? Then when you flip that over and you put it onto your board or your canvas or whatever, wherever you did the pencil mark, and then you go to trace that area. Is it going on there? Yeah. You'll see the lines, they're not real dark, but you can see them. It works well enough to paint with. The lines come through because you've put graphite on the back of your tracer. So if you don't have graphite paper, that's one other way to get your transfer to your surface, okay? I like the graphite paper. It lasts forever. You can get it at Michael's, or you might even be able to get it at Staples. I know you can get it online at that giant retailer that we tend to love, Amazon. But anyway, okay, so now I'm just going in and I am tracing all the elements, see that, of my bicycle. Because we're going to do our background first and we're going to do it around our bicycle. Now, if you wanted to do this again or do it in a different color, you could buy a black canvas. Yes, they do sell black canvases. Oh, Rosella, welcome for the first time. It's nice to see you. I hope you enjoy and come back. So anyway, you can buy black canvas, or you can take and paint your entire canvas black first instead of trying to go in and out and all around the bicycle. You can paint your canvas, your surface, or whatever it is black first, and then they sell white graphite paper that you use to trace things onto, obviously, dark surfaces. So that is another option. An additional option is to not do black, to do a different color, do a different background. So although I will be following our reference photo and using the colors that I told you in the supply list, I am okay with you guys using the colors of your choice. Okay? I always say that. And don't worry if your tracer lines aren't exact. We're going to go back in with paint and fix everything. I think I'm not doing the spokes, so if you guys are tracing with me, you don't have to worry about doing the spokes just yet, okay? Oh, forgot this part. Nor am I doing the lettering because we just end up painting over that. So I'm just checking, make sure I have everything. The pedal and the back wheel and the whole bit. Okay, looks good. So as you can see, some of my lines are darker than others. That's because I've used this graphite paper for many, many, many years and many, many, many projects. Okay, I'm going to leave this here as reference. I'm going to get rid of my graphite paper. I'm going to see if we have anything else on there, any comments, and let me get rid of this. I need to work in a somewhat orderly fashion, okay? So we are going to get set painting. So I'm ready. I have my brushes. I have about a 1-inch flat. I have this number 16, which is about a 1/2 inch flat. A smaller one to get into nooks and crannies. This is a number 8, and a liner brush. I don't get hung up on the numbers because paintbrush numbers are not universal. And so folk art has their own numbers. Deco Art, I believe, makes brushes. They have their own numbers. Every brush company has their own numbers. They're relatively the same. The numbers go up and down regarding if you have a bigger brush or a smaller brush, but basically the numbers mean nothing. You can't compare one brand's number 8 to another brand. Well, you can compare, but they will not match one brand's number 8 to another brand's number 8. So I'm going to use my about 1/2 inch size flat brush. I tend to do everything with a flat brush, except when I use my liner brush, because that's how I have been trained and taught. There are many other brushes, and I show you them often on Teresa Silhouette Spot for all things art. But for the most part, I tend to use flat brushes. So we want to get an ample amount of paint on our brush. We don't want to load it up. We don't want it to be all goppy, and we don't want it all up in here in the metal part, which is the ferrule. We want it halfway, 3/4 of the way up the bristles, and we want it loaded into our bristles by putting a little bit of pressure on our brush. See how it flares out? Well, you can't with the black, but see how the brush flares out a little bit? It gets wider. That's good, because we want to get the paint up into the bristles. We don't want to be shy about the paint. Now I'm going to get started with my background. When I paint, you're going to hear me say this all the time, I paint like I color with crayons. I go in and outline. The way you do it is up to you, and that's fine too. And I outline by using my brush straight up and down, up on what we call the chisel edge, the flat part of the brush. So I like to go in and outline first because it's kind of a guide of where I'm going to be then needing to put my paint. Because I'll get painting la-di-da, and before you know it, I'm outside the lines, painting where I don't need to paint. So this way, if I go through and outline, and I usually outline a section at a time, it makes it much easier for me to stay in and paint where I need to paint from. Keeps me in the boundaries. And when I say paint, and when I say stay in the boundaries and in the line and within the area, it doesn't have to be perfect. Hey Bev, hey Agnes, how are you? Bev, you absolutely can watch the replay. It will be in this group. You can come back and watch it at your leisure when you have your supplies together if you want to paint, and that's totally fine. If you want to paint with a friend, that's fine too. So yes, this does stay in the group. Anyway, as I was saying, this does not have to be perfect. Black is a tough color, I'm not gonna lie, but with paint, if you allow your paint to dry, you can fix anything. So I don't get all caught up in every line of my background being totally perfect and exact. Nope. Because when we go in, the focus of our picture is the bike, of course. So when we go in and we paint our bike, if we went out of the line a little bit with our black, that's okay, because when we paint our bike, we're gonna fix all that. And then when we add all these cool details, like all these highlights and shading and these wispy brush strokes to make it look like there's movement, that's when your painting really comes together. And if there is a little bit of things that you don't absolutely love, it's all going to be disguised because you have so much going on in your painting. Those little, let's say, imperfections aren't going to even matter. Okay? So, one thing I do, and it does make a difference, even when I'm painting the background, I try to keep my brush strokes going the same way. Now that's a little difficult with this design because there's a lot going on and we're tracing the bike, but still, while my paint is wet, even if I filled in an area with my brush strokes going one way, I'm going to come back and I'm going to even them all out and have my brush strokes go in the same direction. Because depending on the light, you will be able to see brush stroke marks. So we want our brush strokes to pretty much go the same way. And none of you can tell, but I am using I'm picking up paint, but I'm not globbing it on. We don't need to glob it on. Paint will give decent coverage, and even if you don't like the coverage you're getting at first, it's more important to add light coats, a second coat, than it is to glob on the first coat. So you don't want to put your paint on really thick and heavy. You want to have a decent amount of paint. And as you paint and as we do more projects, you'll get a feel for how much paint you need on your brush, and what I'm talking about. It's just more important, like I said, to do thin coats and have them dry and then have to go back and add a second coat than it is to make a really thick coat. You're not saving time by making a really thick coat the first time. And now see here with my handle, by all means, that's not perfect, but that's okay. Because when we go in and we paint our aqua bike, that's what you're gonna see. That's gonna cover up maybe where you went a little bit in or out of the line with your black background. Okay, so if you have any questions, like I said, I am looking at the comments, trying to keep up here, and just painting. So I do little demos on my page every Tuesday and Thursday. And then once a month in this group, I do a free project like this where I supply everything you need to paint your own design with me. The supply list, the tracer, the colors I suggest, and everything. Okay? So soon, probably, I would say this weekend, I will probably put up a post with either April's design, or maybe I'll give you guys a choice again and I'll put up 2 designs and you guys can pick what you want to paint. How's that sound? So in here, it gets a little bit detailed in here and a little small. I could switch brushes. If you want to switch to a smaller brush, go right ahead. I'm going to stick with this one. And that's fine. I still have to go in and do the inside of this tire. So remember, even though I went in and to get around my design, I painted vertically. Now that I'm going back in and filling in, I'm pulling all my strokes the same way across. Okay. And believe it or not, I have the picture here. You can't see it. I have the reference photo here too. Because sometimes maybe you're like, oh, is that supposed to be black? Is that part of the bike? So it's just as easy to have the reference photo right there to glance up at than it is to be like, ooh, I made a mistake. So, mistakes that we can fix because it's paint. It's just paint, and if you let the paint dry, you can fix anything. So, one more tire. Guys, have any questions so far? Hey, Terry. This is such a cute design, and I like the fact that it's so easy to change up. You can change it easily by changing the color of the basket, changing the color of the flowers in the basket, obviously changing the color of the bike. You can make this is such a cute idea. You can do your template smaller and paint it onto cardstock for a greeting card. You can use the lettering, Life is a Beautiful Ride, or, you know, you can just take it and put Happy Spring or welcome spring or something on the top of yours. Let's get a little bit. So, I think I'm done. Oh, got two little triangles missing here. For the background. And like I said, if you wanted to do this again and you had white graphite paper, or even, you know what would work with this? The pencil trick would work with this. So if we wanted to paint our whole background black, let me tell you. If we wanted to paint our whole background black, or we bought a black canvas, you could again take your tracer. This would be a little bit messier, but it would work. You can take your tracer and a piece of chalk, and you can go on the back of your tracer using the chalk on the flat. And then when you laid that down on your black and traced it with the pencil, your marks would come out just like these came out when I used the pencil. So that's just another way to do it. Okay, so I am just giving my black a couple of minutes to dry. Thank you, Terry. Well, I could have used a smaller brush. I do have a variety of brushes here, but I don't get any more. I don't get wrapped up anymore with being perfect, because I know that we have to trust it. And once your painting is completely done, I tell all my students, please don't judge your painting until you're done, because you will be amazed how all of a sudden at the very end it all comes together when you start adding the details. So I really don't get hung up anymore on being perfect or staying in the lines or whatever, because A, I know it's paint. Paint is very forgiving, and once it dries, you can fix anything. And B, I know once we have our entire design done, there is so much going on here. I mean, I could point out stuff to you guys and be like, oh, look at that, look at that. But you guys look at this painting, you're like, wow, that's so cute, that's really pretty, oh, I love your yellow bike. And that's what we're looking for. And that's when you start adding in all the details and whatnot, that's what you get. So don't be discouraged. Don't be scared of the little bits and pieces. And use the brush that you're comfortable with. Okay? So now I'm getting out this aqua blue. I forget what color I said on your list, but it's the blue color. Okay? Let us shake it up. Put it on my plate. And now we're going to paint the bike. And now I am going to probably use a smaller brush to paint the bike, because then this one I can do the tires and everything with. And I don't have to worry about too much going into the black. Okay, so this is, like I said, a number 8 flat. I'm using Folk Art Multi-Surface Aqua, but you can use any color blue Deco Art paints, apple barrel paints, whatever kind of paints you want. And I'm picking up the blue. Once again, I'm putting it in. I'm not dipping into my whole pile. I'm pulling a little bit out and putting a little pressure on my brush so I get the paint up into the bristles. And once my brush is loaded adequately with paint, then I can go in and start painting. And when I go back, the brush is already loaded, and so it's a lot easier than to pick up paint when I go back for it. Also, I will say this, a bigger brush does hold more paint. Obviously, it's a bigger brush, it's got bigger bristles, so it's going to hold more paint. Okay, so I'm just going to go in and I'm going to paint everything blue on the bike. And you might see on our sample, on our reference image, part of the tires are white, but that's okay. It's a lot easier to paint them blue and then add in the white than it is to go and put in narrow lines of blue afterwards. So we're just going to do all blue And when that's nice and dry, we're going to go back in with some nice fresh white for our tires. And again, I'm outlining. See that? I'm still outlining. I'm standing my brush up on the chisel edge and I'm outlining. Also, even though these three parts, the tire, the fender, and this part of the bike that holds the wheel, are all going to be the same color, do you see I'm painting them as if they're separate units? Because you'd be surprised how it makes a difference in your finished picture if you do that. Instead of coming in here and painting all of these elements together with one broad stroke, it makes a difference. So it takes a little bit longer, but that's just how I do it. Okay? There we go. And I also, and this may, I don't know if it bugs you guys, if you notice, I am constantly turning my project. I'm constantly turning my project because I want it to be in the best location for me and my strokes. And that's okay. I'm doing the tires so it gives them plenty of time to dry. And then when we want to come back in with our fresh white, we can. Okay. I have been painting for about 15 years. Terry, I took a little bit of a break, you know, life, kids, games, sporting events, whatever. And then I missed it. I originally got into painting. I tell everyone that painting was my therapy. And then I had, like I said, got busy and took a little break. And then I decided to get back into it. I saw a painting online that I absolutely loved. And I signed up for the class. And I was hooked again, just like that. And I started painting again. I turned it into more of a business in 2017. And then again, for personal reasons, I needed a little bit of an outlet. I needed to, oh, I missed that part. I needed to get a little bit more therapy. I wanted to find something to keep my mind off of things. I'd lost my sister. She was only 65, and it was sudden. And so I said, you know what? I want to use the creative side of my brain. I want to get back into art as more than a hobby. I want to share art from my heart. And I want to bring happiness and positive vibes to other people that may be, you know, struggling. And so that's when I really became committed to doing this and creating products and painting online and paint parties and whatnot, so I could immerse myself in art and share it in as many ways as possible. So here we are. Now I think I did that all. Nope, I left that metal. Okay. So I am outlining. This little brush gets in here really well. And that's it. The base coat, and this is what we call this entire beginning sequence of this painting. This is the base coat. So whether you're base coating the back of a canvas, or like we said, base coating our main element, the bicycle, it's all just base coating, trying to stay in the lines as best you can. It doesn't have to be perfect, and just having fun with it. But the real magic starts when we get to the details. And you will see from one color to the next how your design just totally transforms. We add some shading, your design looks one way. We add some highlights, your design looks another way. It's really pretty amazing. Okay, I think, oh, just the handlebar here. So, let me show you guys something. See how my black is a little off and not really nice there? When I come in with my blue and I make this curve here like that, that's all we're worried about. So even though my black wasn't perfect, when I came back in with my aqua, it went right over that. I made it just fine. Let me see. Am I missing anything? I think I'm good. I did notice down here, see how fat this is down here? I have a little black in this corner. I'm going to go over this corner with a little black as well. So just cleaning out my brush. When I clean out my brush, you can see my water gets really, really dirty. But we don't care about that. Because all you need to do is take your brush and pinch it in your paper towel like this, and you're not going to get that dirty water or that other color into your project. So I'm just going to pick up a little bit of black and fix this corner, and that's it. Voila, that's it. Just fixed my tire. And they're not perfectly round. It's all good. Okay. So what do you guys think so far? Do you have any other questions? Nope, not at the moment. Okay. So far we have our background and we have the base coat of our bike. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to do some white. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do some gray first. So I will be using silver. It's a silver metallic, but it's a very transparent. A lot of times the metal paints are very transparent. So under gold, I will use like a golden yellow, and under silver, I will use a gray. And then we only have to do the one coat of the metallic, and it really helps the metallic stand out. So I'm going to start with our petal. And once again, my black was not perfect, but when I go in with this little brush to do the petal, it takes care of that. Okay? And then we're going to do this metal part with the post for the seat. And up here, the bar where our handlebars attach. If you guys are painting along with me, if you painted at your leisure and your time, please post your pictures. I would love to see your bikes. Did this part. This is kind of like, almost like a license plate or a name plate or fancy area. You could put anything on here that you want. A design, a name, initials, a favorite number, whatever you want. It's more like just like a little area for customization or personalization. I'm gonna make this a little bit darker in here. Okay. Alrighty. Just rinsing my brush again. And I'm gonna go in with some white. I'd love to say I need to do the tires. If you guys use a different color for your bike, I would love to see that too. So I'm still using the little brush. I'm still going to outline. I'm painting in my bike seat here. Okay. And now I'm going to go in and I'm just going to use this brush to make my tires. So I want to be in here. I'm leaving a little bit of space for the fender. And I'm painting in the white part of our bicycle tire. I'm going to do the same thing down here. Don't worry, it doesn't have to be perfect. My bike tires are far from perfect. They may need a second coat, but I will come back to that. I'm gonna let the first coat dry. Okay, and again, wait till you see when we start adding in all of our details. Your picture, your design, it will all really start to come together. I'm just going in and giving a second coat to my white because we really want our fresh white to stand out. There we go. Okay. I'm just going to put out a little bit of this. This is cafe latte. Just need a little bit of that for my basket. So I'm going to put out some cafe latte for my basket. Some dark brown. In this case, I'm using burnt umber. Need a little bit of that for my basket. not too much. And then I'm gonna put out this, let me use the light green at first. This is soft apple, but I think I put like a light green and a dark green on the supply list for colors. So your lighter green. We only need a little bit of that, and I got it everywhere. That's okay. It's water paint, comes off. Okay. So how's everybody doing so far? Good? Any questions? So I'm going to pick up a little bit of my light brown. And I didn't put a line here, but I pretty much know where my basket begins and ends. And again, still base coating. Basically just putting in our colors where we want them. So now, because I have my basket outlined, I'm going to pick up a little bit of the dark brown on one corner of my brush and a little bit of the light brown. I'm double loading my brush. I have both colors on here now, the light and the dark. And I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to add stripes to my basket. Pick up some more paint. So my basket at this point has a little bit of texture to it with the two different colors and the multitude of colors that those colors produce when you put them together like that. We're going to go in and add details, but that's just to start with. Rinse in my brush again, and then we're going to take this light green and we're just going to paint up here because this is going to be the background for when we add our flowers. You'll see, we put this in the background here, so any space between our flowers and our leaves has color. So that's just the base coat for that. Okay? So now I'm going to put out this fun green. This is called lime green, but I also have another nice color. It's called yellow citron or happy green. So I'm going to put out a little bit of that. And this is where we're going to start adding our details. Okay? So I'm going to go back to my bigger brush. Drying it off, just squeezing it like a sandwich in my paper towels. And again, I'm going to double load. I'm going to pick up some of my aqua and some of my green and get them both on my brush. See that? I have the green and the aqua, and I'm loading my brush and I want them up in there. But in order to do these swatches, I don't want them heavy, I want them wispy. See, they're all airy and you can see the black. So I'm just gonna get a scrap piece of paper and make sure that my paint is not too heavy when I do this. And I want the green towards the bike because the bike is the aqua. And I'm just going in here and I'm adding these wispy little strokes. It just gives the illusion of movement. See that? And I'm always going to keep the blue to one side and the green to the other side, however I start. And that's really all there is to it. Just makes it, it gives a little bit more dimension to your painting. Doesn't that look cool? I'm going to get my liner brush now, and I'm going to go in with my white, and I'm going to do my spokes. We move around. You guys may say, why is she jumping from here to there? So We move around for two reasons. First of all, I don't want you guys to get bored. Second of all, we mostly move around because we want stuff to dry so we can keep painting. Nobody wants to sit and watch paint dry. But if we do one section at a time, that dries, then we come back to it and add the details. And so that's why I'm always jumping around. Base coated the basket and the wicker basket and the place for the flowers. So now we're going to let that dry. So we move to a different part of our design. So that's why I move around. This way, as one part is drying, we're working on another part, and that's all. Okay, so now I'm picking up with my spokes. I'm going to get a little bit of water because when I use your liner brush and you want to do very, very fine lines, you want your paint to be a little bit thinner. So all I do is just dip the end of the brush into some water and make it a little bit thinner. That's it. So I'm going to start back here, in the front, and I'm just going to do a cross, okay? Then I'm going to do an X, and then I'm just going to go in and I'm going to split every one of these. You can just leave the cross and the X. You don't have to add more. It's up to you. And now we have the spokes from the front. The back is a little trickier because you kind of have to figure out where the middle is. You don't have a middle point to bring all your spokes to. So you kind of have to judge where the middle is when you do your first cross and then your X. So I just stick my finger there. You can put a little pencil mark. Because it still has to look even. So you could put a little pencil dot if you wanted there. Like I said, I put my finger. And then once again, I'm just going to go back in and I'm going to split every one of these sections. Not that one because it's not enough room. And there we go. Look how, from what we started out with to now that we start adding these little details, how this is coming together. I needed some water, sorry. Okay. Now I'm going to go in, as I have my liner brush, I'm going to wash it off. Now we're going to start adding some fun little colored details. I'm going to pick up the green, and I'm going to go in here, and I'm just going to add a little bit. No, I don't want to do green. I'm backing it up. Back up. Beep, beep, beep. Let me get a light blue. Sky blue, or here, ocean view. This one I like. I'm gonna start with this one first. There we go. So I'm gonna pick up a little bit of this, and I'm just gonna go in. I'm gonna add some highlights to the different sections of our bike. You can see, that's what I did here. On the yellow, I did it with, oh, it's a little bit of a glare. On the yellow, I did it with green and white and black, and then I went in and added some gray. So on this one, I'm going to do it with the light blue, and then I'm going to go in and add the green. Okay, rinse my brush. Now I'm going to go back to the green. I'm going to pick up some of this really cool lime green, and I'm going to add this to my bike. And it's okay, you cross over some of the blue you put. If you don't put it in every spot where you put the blue, if it's bigger, if it's smaller, if it touches it, if it doesn't touch it, it's all good. Here, see? I'm just adding some details and some highlights and some design to my bike. I really love the way this green pops. This is one of my favorite colors, this lime green. You need to use it in the right spots, not necessarily on this design, but in the right projects and stuff, because I just love how bright it is, and how it just pops on your design. Okay. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to pick up some white, and I'm going to go in and add some white highlights, just the way we did it with our green and our blue. Maybe not as many. I just want to have some pops of white up in here. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to go back to my basket. So I'm picking up the brown, the dark brown, and I'm just going in, I'm adding these little curved lines with my liner brush, and then I'll go in and I'm going to add the little divided lines. This is almost like a little comma, and you want to stagger them, give a little curve to them, give the illusion of a woven basket. So there's my basket. And then we're going to pick up some white again here. I'm going to go in and add some white to our basket. Just a little bit, highlights here and there. Not a lot, just a few. It adds a little bit more dimension to our bike. Okay. I'm going to get out my silver. I think I might have put something like glitterific or glittery. This is a silver metallic folk art multi-surface paint. And my little brush. And now I'm going to use the silver, and I'm going to go back in over all the parts of the bike that we painted with our gray. Technically, you know, remember when you were a kid, that's all the chrome on your cool bike. Yeah. So we want it to be a little bit shiny. That's the chrome part. That's the cool part of your bike. When we do a base coat in gray, you get much better coverage with your silver metallic paint. You can see a little shimmer to that. I'm going to paint this too, make it look metal. Okay, then we're going to go in with our back to our liner brush and our silver, and pick up our silver, and we're going to go in here and we're going to add the silver part of our inside of our rims to all our tires. So I'm just following the blue. Okay. I have to make my white a little thicker down there. There we go. I'm going to even paint this in here silver. Okay. I'm going to pick up some white because like I said, I want to make this a little thicker down here with my white. I'm really making my blue thinner, my white thicker, whichever. Same thing, right? Okay. And now, well, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to clean my brush. I'm just going to pick up a little bit. Oh, it's a little dry from sitting here, so I'm going to get a little wet. And I'm just going to go into my gray. And I just want to add a little bit of gray swishes around my white tires. I'm going to add a little bit of a shadow to the bottom part of my seat. I'm going to pick up a little bit of white and give this the pedal and the pedal to the metal part, a little bit of highlight. Now, I'm going to very sparingly pick up some black, and I'm going to add a little bit of black. I guess we'll call them low lights. I don't want it to overpower. I just want a little bit. I'm not using my my pointer. I'm just using my other two fingers. And I'm going ever so gently with my black. But see, it just gives it a little bit more dimension on our design. Up in here, I want to give it a little bit of some like decoration. So I'm just going to go dotting around this metal plate. That's it. And I just very, very sparingly added the black. We don't want it to overpower anything. Okay, now we're going to do the flowers. So I'm going to get out my magenta. And now we're pretty just going to have fun with all the colors that we have on our palette. Sorry. Okay? And the first thing, well, I'm going to turn it upside down because that's easier. And this way I'm not putting my arms in my design. And I'm going to start laying out my flowers. I'm just going to pick up the magenta and I'm just going to make basically blobs. Blob here, blob there, and I'm just making blobs. Some of the blobs can cover each other. Some of them don't have to because we're going to leave room for leaves. And I'm just making, they're not perfect. They're not perfectly round. They're basically just blobby paints. Put one in there. Put another one up here. Put another one over there. Okay? I didn't count. There's no rhyme or reason. I just made a bunch of blobs. And I'll go back to my white and my liner brush. And now I'm going to mix a little bit. So I have a little bit of pink, and I'm going to pick up this little bit of white because I want a little lighter pink. And I'm not even going to mix it all the way through. Just want a little bit of color to pick up. And I'm going to go and I'm going to add comma strokes to my blobs that go in the shape of my blobs. How's that? Is that techie for you? Pick up a little more paint, and I'm just adding comma strokes around the outsides of my blobs. They're not touching. And see, I just made comma strokes all around. Now I'm going to pick up some more white because I want mostly white. I'm going to get white on my brush, and I'm just going to go in and do the same thing. I'm just going to add more of these comma strokes, this time with the white. Around the blobs. I'm going to rinse my brush. I'm going to pick up a little bit of the aqua, and I'm going to add aqua to just a couple of them. Not all of my blobs are going to have aqua, just some of them. Then I'm going to get my green. And like I said, this video will stay up. You can pause it, stop it, paint at your leisure, whatever you want to do. So I'm just going to go in now and I'm going to add leaves. They're just regular old leaves that we drew as a kid. I'm going to fill in some spots. So it's one comma, it's actually a parenthesis, one parenthesis, back parenthesis, and then fill it in. And wherever you think you need leaves, that's what we're doing. We're just adding a bunch of leaves. Some of them will overlap. Some of them are bigger. Some of them are smaller. And we're just filling in around our flowers with these different size leaves. And I'm using the liner brush for this. And we have some hanging down over our basket. This is why we went in and did the background first, because now we have that nice green in the background, so it makes our basket look fuller. See that? And I'm going to take my liner brush and I'm just going to add some little strokes, almost like there's just some like greenery hanging out. Once again, I'm not using my pointer finger because that's the strong finger. I'm using my thumb and my middle finger, and I'm just gently pulling out. I'm going to pick up some white now. I'm just gently pulling out little tiny bits, making it look almost like little fillers coming out of our beautiful basket of these spring flowers. There we go. So, what do you think? There's my bike. I can do my lettering, but I wanted to show you guys what my bike looked like. I love this design, and I love my yellow one from last night. Isn't that cute? Maybe I'll do a pink one next. I'll do a whole series. Like I said, this, you can do this any size. How cute would it be on a greeting card, or even like a little 5x7 just on your desk to, like, you know, brighten up your day. Just because the colors are just so pretty, and then you have that basket of flowers on there. I mean, it's so cute. It screams spring. And I'll tell you what, spring was definitely in the air today here. I was going to eat my lunch, so when I'll go outside and have my lunch during my break, and I'll sit outside on it's the concrete, it's the front door of this very commercial building. I'll be like, I'm gonna go eat my lunch on the veranda. I'll be back in a little bit. veranda. It's like a huge road going back and forth, and there I am sitting on the concrete with my legs in a pretzel and da-da-da. Oh, I'm full of paint. But anyway, it's just so nice to be outside in the sunshine. Love it, love it, love it. So, back to the lettering. Now, I am not a lettering person. I am practicing to be a lettering person. I would love to be a lettering person. Right now, I'm just a painting person. So, I'm going to take this off of here as best I can without making a big mess, because my flowers aren't dry yet, so I don't want to put this whole tracer over my flowers. But I do want to be able to see it. Oh, I need my white tracing paper. My white graphite paper. Here it is. So, and you know, my lettering's not perfect, but it's fun nonetheless. So I'm going to line this up here. I'm going to put my lettering up in here. Make sure I stay on the paper. Get a pencil and trace my letters. And make sure it's working. Yep. There's a trick to lettering, even though, like I said, I'm not a good letterer. Downstrokes should be thicker and upstrokes should be thinner. And that's all well and good when you're using a marker or a Sharpie or a pencil. It doesn't work the same when you're using a paintbrush. But in theory, it should. So, oftentimes, I will leave off the lettering because I feel like, honestly, my lettering is just not good enough. But how am I going to get better unless I do it right? So I am doing it. Okay. And when you trace it, here, I'm on the one. When you trace it, which I'm sorry I didn't show you guys, I used my white graphite paper. I laid this down and a pencil and traced it just like we did our tracer at the beginning. The thing is, when you paint lettering and you use a brush for lettering, your brushes, letters are not one continuous stroke. They are many strokes. And that takes a little bit of getting used to. I'm putting a little bit of water in my white paint because you want it to flow really well, almost like ink. And I'm just giving my liner brush a twirl so it has a nice point on it. And then I'm just going to go in and see how I did that one part of the L. Now I did the next part of the L. Okay. I did that part of the L. Oh, too much water on my brush. You can tell, see how it got a little thick there? That's okay. I just squeezed it out and I'm going to pick up more of my paint. So, I'm having, okay, so then, like I said, when you go down, it's thick, and when you come up, it's thin. So I do it all separate. So I'll do my thick down, and then I'll come over here and I'll do my thick down of my S, but then I'll do the thin up. Again with the A. I'll do the thick part of the A down, and then this thick part of the A down, and then the tail thin and up. Same thing with the B. And I keep picking up paint. And then this is up so it's thin. So thick down, up thin, thick down, and then the other part of the A is thick. And I'm just going to go in and I'm going to attach all these with the little thin line. Ooh. Thick down, thick down. So then thin, 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 thick, thick, thick. And then B-E-A-U, we're going to cross our T, dot our I, dot our I, dot our I. And the same thing. Thick down and then thin. Thick down for the I, thick down for that part of the D, thick, thick, and then where I connect them, oh, I messed that up. I messed my D up. I thought it was an E. I can get rid of that real easy. And you guys can see. So I'm just going to pick up some water, and go in there and fix that. Grab my paper towel and just scrub it off of there. So I put a little bit of water on the wet paint, and now I will fix my D. Make sure everything is connected. And there we have it. There we have it. So, what do you guys think? Isn't that cute? Oh, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Oh, forgot. I'm going to put my initials on it. Always sign your painting. And I'm going to sign it down here with a lot of this teal that I have. I usually just put my initials. So that's what I'm going to put. I'm going to put them over here. T, G. Sometimes I put the year. So there we go. And voila. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it. When, I'm not even going to say if, when you guys paint your own spring bike, I would love to see it. So post it in here in the group, okay? Love you guys. If you have any questions when you do paint it, if you have any questions, put them in here. I always check back. I love to help. And like I said, I will be putting up April's design very soon. Maybe I'll let you guys vote again. See what I come up with. If I can decide, I'll be like, oh, this is what we're doing. Otherwise, I'll let you guys vote again like we did with the bike. Okay? Stay safe and sane, everyone. Have a great night. Love you guys. Love painting with you. Love sharing art from my heart.